This is the only guide you need to understand road hierarchy. First, I'm going to explain what road hierarchy is, then we're going to look at some real-life examples, then we're going to look at some misconceptions, and finally, I'm going to show you some layouts of roads that you can use to incorporate road hierarchy the best into your city. Let's go. First, I need to explain what exactly is road hierarchy. Road hierarchy is a system for categorizing roads based on their function and traffic capacity. They create networks that efficiently move traffic from high-speed, high-volume routes to local access roads. Road hierarchy consists of highways or arterials. These are for the high-speed and long-distance traffic. Arterial roads are usually major city routes, and collector roads gather traffic from local areas such as neighborhoods which they connect. Local roads are direct access buildings and residences. If road hierarchy is applied correctly, it solves so many problems. It helps traffic congestion reduce itself. Now, why exactly would this help road hierarchy? Well, when you're on the highway, you're going around 65 to 75, maybe 80 miles an hour, and you are not stopping unless, of course, there's traffic. But other than that, traffic getting onto the highway or getting off doesn't cause the traffic going through the intersections to stop. Arterials usually intersect with our highways via a interchange. Here is an overpass. We have an arterial right here. This is how traffic enters and exits the arterial through this diamond interchange here. There are plenty of other interchanges, but this is the most common that you will see. As you can see, the traffic, I don't know why you can make a U-turn here. Oh, it's a one-way. I forgot. Okay, but just pretend this is two ways. But traffic going through does not stop. The arterials do stop though, but arterial is going to connect traffic that is going through an entire city. So if this is our entire city, arterials are going to connect. Usually cities have the arterials that connect north and south and east and west. And these carry traffic not only through the city and into other neighborhoods and districts, but from different cities and to different cities. And they're generally higher speed. They're still around 45 to 50 miles an hour, maybe down to 35. Collectors are different, but they serve the biggest purpose. Now, collectors are only going to interact with arterials and locals. Not very common will you see them interact with an arterial in a very well planned city. But what the arterial does is, let's say neighborhood 1 is this square, neighborhood 1 or neighborhood 2 is this square. What it will do is it will connect these neighborhoods through fast flowing traffic, and it will only interact with the arterials and these local roads. You get off from high speed, you move through the city in a certain direction, then you get off at your collector that is moving in a certain direction towards certain neighborhoods, and then you get off on your local roads, which are usually 2 lanes. This is a misconception that we'll kind of touch on later, but this connects residences to buildings, to parking lots, to whatever. Now let's go look at some real life examples, because that's kind of how you really learn. Alright, here we are in Google Earth, but I want to go here to Escondido to show you an example of an arterial interacting with collectors, and then kind of that filter system going on. So we have Center City Parkway, which is this road. The highway traffic is going to filter out, and then it will come down here. It will briefly stop, and then it will go, and it will go, and it will go, and it will go. And let's say it's going to turn left onto 2nd Avenue, which is a one-way street, and a collector, because it is basically connecting this part of town through downtown and connecting it over here. So it connects opposite sides of downtown. You would turn left and keep going, and you would go, and you would go. And now let's say you're trying to go to the library right here. You would end up turning onto this local road, and this is, I believe, called me a street. And then you would turn into here. and maybe you had to go to the orthodontics right here. You would turn back onto the local roads and get here because it connects building to building. Let's turn on the other layer just because it might be a lot easier to see the roads. These local roads do not intersect with Center City Parkway. Only the collectors, and in Escondido, now we can see the names. But in Escondido, the collectors that intersect with this road are, hold on, let's go back. Our Country Club Lane, this connects kind of like the suburbs and stuff, although it's a shorter arterial. Then you have another arterial that intersects with this, which is El Norte Parkway, which is our east-west main arterial. Then it intersects with the highway, then Mission Avenue and Washington, and then Valley Parkway, Grand, and 2nd Avenue. Then it'll intersect with 5th Avenue, which is another collector. Then 9th, 13th, and Felicita. And so it's a good display of road hierarchy. And honestly, I don't think traffic on Center City has ever been bad for me personally. I think Chicago's a good example. I saw something a while back that said that there's a system of arterials, collectors, and local roads. Half mile is a collector, and an arterial is every mile. Let's follow Roosevelt Road. This intersects with, this looks like a Hysted Street, looks like a arterial to me. You can see it's intersecting with local roads. And then it comes up with this collector right here. And then another arterial, another collector, another arterial, but probably a weird intersection right here. And you could see that the road hierarchy is a lot more planned. And I think that's pretty cool. That's obviously just a quick example. Let's look at some misconceptions, because road hierarchy is not like, let's stay true to this. You can't break it or else your city's going to be super unrealistic. Actually, if you stay to it with your entire city, it's unrealistic. Our first misconception is that road hierarchy has to be followed at all times, which is what I was saying. If you've ever been to the downtown of a big city, we'll go over here for now. You'll usually have an arterial along the coast if it's a coastal city, then an arterial maybe a little farther up, then an arterial coming down. Then you'll have maybe another grid of collectors, but then there's the smaller roads, because you could see that, this handles some traffic, but not a lot. And so now there's local roads intersecting with not only collectors, but arterial. And that's something that you'll see a lot in downtowns, because the downtowns are dense, and so road hierarchy gets kind of thrown out the window. Another misconception is about the road sizes. This is only a misconception because of like city sizes. So if you're in a rural town, a highway can just be a two-way highway that stops. Highways don't have to stop. So they can be anywhere from 2 to 4 lanes, but they're conjoined and they're small. Oops, wrong highway. But that's fine. And usually these end up like transferring to main streets later on as they go through towns, because they're more of routes and not freeways. Arterials do not have to be big. They can just be 4 lanes or even 1 lane, because of, yes, how big is the town? Is it Chicago or New York, or is it Muncie, Indiana, or is it Richmond, Indiana? And the last part of this misconception is that local roads have to be 1 way and tiny. So, like a regular 2-lane road or an alleyway in the game. These don't. If you're in a big city like Chicago or New York, local roads have a chance of being pretty big. They can be up to 4 lanes. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen an example where they're this big, but I've seen local roads that don't intersect with an arterial or anything that are this big, or have just big intersections in general. And finally, our very last misconception is that only arterials can intersect with highways. There's a lot of examples of small streets that usually have traffic that they can be considered a collector, but usually they'll have kind of exits that are kind of random, like this, just like this. And then they'll have like the other side intersect with just 1 road. And it's weird, but at one point it would have made sense. So having highways that connect with your local or collectors makes sense, because maybe at one point these things did serve as arterials, or they were just part of the original plan. So you'll end up probably having intersections that look a little goofy like this, and that's realistic. Finally, I'm going to show you some road layouts that you can use. It's actually just one main one. There are actually two main ones, but they're kind of the same thing. So first, a downtown layout that follows this. First, you're going to have an arterial that's coming west, and then you're going to have one that's coming north. And then you're going to have a grid of arterials coming. And this grid can have a few. Just like so. Now you're going to take a local road, and you're going to find all your collectors, and you're just going to mark them kind of like this. First of all, just run a thing through the middle, but avoid that arterial. So now you should double check, just make sure that that's the only thing you're intersecting with. You can either come with an alleyway, like kind of have alleyways start from like here or something, and then have them go like that, or you can just take some cul-de-sacs and place them in here, and then just kind of ignore the zoning of this cul-de-sac since you're in a downtown and it's going to be dense. So now it should look something like this. So it's either going to have the alleyways like this, or it's going to have that. And you're not going to zone on the arterials at all, but you're going to zone everywhere else. And if you could see, if you want to get to this local road, like if you live on this cul-de-sac, you just right, left, or right, right, right. So it funnels traffic a lot better. Our next is a fused grid layout. This doesn't really involve arterials, just so you know, but this is collectors. So you have, of course, a grid of collectors. So we're going to make just a quick grid of that really quick. You are going to take local roads and intersect with this. This is more of like a suburban, urban transitional road layout. It's very good to transition from. But you're going to have kind of some road layout in the middle of this. So you can kind of come out like this. And then hit like a that, and then a that, and put a cul-de-sac on it. But I don't know, you're just going to kind of fill it up with little neighborhood designs. And what this does is just funnels traffic better. Of course, not every intersection should have a traffic light, but for the ones with traffic lights, I would suggest making just a few four-way intersections, just so that the traffic lights would be a lot more useful. That's all for today. If you want a part 2, like if there's things that I've missed or anything, subscribe and comment about that. Also, you can join the Discord in the description, because I'll be checking that, and you just have to kind of bring that up. There'll be a channel that's talking about like help or like feedback. Just post in there, I'll look at it, and if I miss something that's pretty important, let me know. So I'll see you guys later. Subscribe, join the Discord, and all that good stuff. I'll see you.